Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about why I became self-employed and why applying for jobs never led to traditional employment. I did spend actually the past 18 months knocking on every door that I could find. I applied for jobs in the ordinary way. I tried freelancing platforms. You name them, the big ones, the vetted ones, the ones that promise client work. And what I've learned is that most of them actually are kind of like black holes. You build, in a sense that you build a profile and you wait, and then pretty much nothing happens. And there is specifically a trick about that nobody tells you. But what I got to find out along the way is that on those platforms, technically you're invisible until we have clients, and also you cannot get clients while you're invisible. So the internal algorithm, the way that it's promoting you to others is basically by having clients, and the more work you have, the more you're promoted. If you're a brand new one, it's basically you're underneath, everybody else until you get to strike luck somehow. And sometimes to escape that, some of the platforms you're supposed to pay them to boost you, which obviously turns the whole thing into a lottery anyway, that you're paying to enter. And even if you win, you're competing most of the time globally against the entire planet. So it's, in a sense, a race to the bottom, which I wasn't really willing to participate or to join in any way because I still have to pay my bills. So, I waited several months across a couple of platforms and nothing happened. So I stopped trying and I turned to trying cold outreach, and that was kind of the same. Almost all of it sort of like vanished into silence. So basically, in 18 months of trying every channel I could find and I could reach, I can count the real replies on one hand, and obviously none of those replies actually led to any type of work. So I need to be honest about why it never really changed, because people, when people hear that, they say to try harder, and that was never the actual missing piece. I did try harder. I did try different cities, different industries, same effort over and over. But what kept stopping me wasn't my willpower. It was that I kept breaking down, and it couldn't recover. So essentially, it's like a burnout that you cannot reset, and between attempts, all of that just keeps getting stuck. So people will tell you to push through, and survival kind of makes you anyway. But for a lot of people that might be true, because we're all driven by the need to survive. But there's a place past that where my burnout has gotten so deep that survival didn't matter anymore. Like to just keep applying wasn't doing anything at all anymore. And even though I'm in a steady place right now, I'm telling you that because that's the part that people don't see. And that's the part that leads to really, really harmful bad advice from people. So, eventually had to sit with a hard question. And that was, if I genuinely do the work and deliver, why does the world keep saying no? And for a long time, my biggest misconception, specifically about employment, was thinking that capability was enough, right? If you're able to do the job, that's the proof itself. And usually that should be enough. But most hiring turns out to not be built this way. And is built to be rather identical for everybody. That's one shape, one form. And it is sometimes, not always, but sometimes justified in fairness, because it says that they're treating everyone the same, but treating everyone the same is actually not fair, because it filters out exactly the people who actually have different abilities and functioning and different needs. So that is actually actively excluding such people, which has nothing to do with fairness. And I think that there was a moment that sort of like showcased that to me perfectly. I applied to like a big company that is very known for being neurodivergent and disability confident, where specifically people from such backgrounds and circumstances are encouraged to apply. And my initial application was accepted, and after that, I had to get through a technical interview. Before even anything, I just had questions about the process, as nothing about it was outlined. And I asked if I could have adjustments in the way that I'm assessed, and if I could use the tools that I use every single day in order to do my job. And then they said no. And after I told them that I actually need that in order to do my job, they wished me luck for my future. And that was pretty much it. That was the whole thing. And I think the part that kind of stung the most was that these kind of places that call themselves disability confident, obviously there's a badge for it. But another big thing that I've learned is a badge doesn't mean anything as much. It doesn't mean that the place actually is willing to make those accommodations or adjustments or to do any work about this. And even though a lot of organizations love the label, most of them never actually do the work that's needed. So disabled people for sure are not the ones failing to show up. In fact, probably disabled people are working much more than twice as hard as anybody else. And it's exactly because they face the biggest barriers that cannot be overcome by an individual. They are structural barriers. And, being turned away that many times by that many places, I just stopped trying to squeeze myself through doors built to keep people like me out. And I started building my own. And that's pretty much what self-employment is for me. It isn't giving up on being a software engineer. It's completely the opposite. To me, that's like, everything that I need to do my work, to control, my workflow, to not have a stopwatch and the freedom to move at my own space, to not have anyone breathing behind my neck, and to be judged on, instead to be judged on what I deliver, instead of performing while somebody's watching. This is exactly what employers couldn't give me. And so I had to build it myself. And self-employment is pretty much the accommodation that nobody else would make for me. But, in terms of the reality of self-employment, I think it's also important to be honest about that too, because it can sound like something you're actually choosing freely, but in many cases, it was the only door that was left. When the ordinary way of earning a living is closed to you entirely, and going out on your own stops being a career move or enthusiasm, and it's actually much plainer about it. It's survival. And in a world that shuts down disabled people and out of work, it's not only shutting us out of jobs, it's shutting us out of survival itself, out of the basic ability to earn, to participate, to exist in the economy the way that everyone else does. And when those doors are pretty much sealed, building your own is not ambitious. It's the only thing that is standing between you and being completely locked out. So yeah, when I say that I'm building my own door, when I was self-employed, I mean that because it was either that or nothing at all. And I also want to tell you about one of my dreams underneath that. I started building my own door because I had to, and I don't think that anyone should have to. So what I really want is a world where survival isn't something you earn, you fight for, you prove that you deserve, where it's yours simply because you're human. And that's a project that I'm working on and putting my energy into. It's called Social Resource Floor. It is an open blueprint for a structure that lets people reach the basics of survival. For example, food, housing, energy, healthcare, grounded in being human, not in financial status. And it should be a floor beneath which no person should fall. It is early, it is open, and if that resonates with you, I'll put the link below. Uh, you know, come and read the idea, get involved if you want to. So yeah, thank you for listening. I'm Dobie, and this is how I went out on my own.